Details, details, and more details. It's all about the details for me. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate y'all once again for hanging out with me. Link. All right, look, let's get the formalities out the way. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the new people. Thanks for the old people. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that stuff that every other YouTuber asks you to do, right? From what I gather is that the likes will make my video more subject to be shown to other people. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate it. This video is going to be on me detailing the details. I love details. As an artist, I don't want to go all the way into my other Instagram where I do my art and stuff, but when I draw and when I do tattoos and stuff, it's the little details for me, and I know it carries over into this hobby for me. I just love showing those very little details that people tend to miss and not have on their layouts. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just feel like I want to show all those extra little details that are somehow forgotten. They need love too, right? Let's just look at the video and see what I did. It's pretty cool. All right, so let's get the ball rolling. This here, I have many of these things. They're just containers with extra parts from kits, and not just building kits, like model kits, car kits, all type of stuff. And then here are the pieces that I've chosen to put in this dumpster. The actual dumpster and that refrigerator on the side there are actually things that I 3D printed. And again, it's just a bunch of junk that I had, leftover parts, pallets, piping, and all that stuff. What I'm doing here is probably not really necessary, because what happens is when these little pieces get casted, the way it gets poured, it creates a rib, if you will, of unwanted extra metal. So I'm just filing it off. Like I said, I probably didn't need to do that, because this is trash going into a dumpster. But I don't know, I just felt like filing that off because it was a little extra. And here I'm just putting in the bottom of that dumpster super glue, and then I'm just adding junk. That first piece up there in the right hand corner is a pile of junk. I think I got that from a Bar's Mill kit maybe that I had left over. And then these extra little plastic pieces are just random things. I don't even remember what some of this stuff is. I mean, that's obviously a pallet. And that piece I just put in there was, I think, an old chimney or something like that. But then again, here's some more glue, and then it'll be more junk. More glue, more junk, more glue, more junk. I didn't want to over junk it because I wanted to see the bottom a little bit, but as I keep going and I'm looking at this, I think I put more junk in here as well. So and here's, I think, me being finished with putting all that junk in there. I actually added some wood planks and 2x4s, and another pallet is in there, some long poles, if you will. I don't know what the poles are from, or honestly, that's just wire, just straightened out. But you know, in HO scale, you can kind of make wire into pole just by straightening it out. You can use it for cabling and all that stuff. And then here on the side, I just tilted the refrigerator to lean up against the dumpster. And I missed the part, I think, where I spray painted, but here I'm sprinkling salt on there to create some bubbling and chipping. And if you look at the bottom there, you can see I painted the whole thing. So after everything was glued in there and set and dry, I spray painted the whole thing with like a flat gray. I think it's a medium. It's not dark or it's not really light. It's like a medium flat gray, just rattle can. And here are some of the paints that I used to paint this dumpster full of trash. I'm not really hell-bent on one particular brand of paint. I do lean a little more towards ammo, but what I'm doing here, you can paint and create all these different effects with really any type of paints and oils. So you don't have to be stuck with just a certain brand. I mean, if you love a certain brand, then hey, more power to you. But I'm gonna use what I got and, you know, make it work. So as far as the dumpster, I chose like this. What color was that? It's like a avocado or something, light avocado. I can't remember, but if you want, you can just rewind the video back to, and you can see what colors I use for this. And I want to say I put 2 coats on here as well, because it's not as opaque as I'd like some of these colors to be. So yeah, I just kind of put 2 coats on here. I'm going through with 1 coat right now. I don't think I showed me doing a second coat. And it's kind of just like watching paint dry, and who wants to do that? I did water the paint down just a little bit so it'll go on a little smoother. And then sometimes I'll use something, if I reach up here, let me see, and now I'm about to cause a mess. There's some stuff called Flow. It's an acrylic additive, and you can put it in your acrylic paints and help it flow a little better. But I think here I just used water. And yeah, I'm just painting the pallets now. I painted the wood, and I think I may have a video out of place now that I'm looking at this. So what's happening is I put these videos together in Adobe Premiere, and then I voice over this part whenever I do voiceover. And as I looked, it looks like the refrigerator is already painted, but I think there'll be a video popping up here showing me painting the refrigerator. But anyway, yeah, and I think this is like some light brown that I used to paint those wooden 2x4s. I got just like I said, a bunch of junk in there, and I think, you know, what I wanted to show is the details. You know, it's all about details for me, especially on my layout. When I'm drawing, when I'm doing anything artsy, really, as an artist, I just see everything. You know, whether it's a bolt missing or you know, how rust accumulates in one section, dirt accumulating, all that. I just see all that detail, and I love trying to mimic that detail, especially on my layout. Yeah, so here, it's just a second coat, so it's not, the videos aren't out of order. This is just a second coat because I wanted to paint that refrigerator white. White is very transparent going against something darker color, so I had to let that dry, do something else, come back to the white, do something else, come back to the white. So I think I put 2 or 3 coats of that white on there. But this video is really just all about the detail, and then once you do the detail the details. right? I remember, I don't know where I heard it from, but someone said trash cans, dumpsters, and the bigger dumpsters actually add life to your layout. Yeah, we got vehicles on there, the trains obviously, but cars, we got people, but people throw away trash, and that in turn makes the layout really again alive, like there's actual living happening. So yeah, you got people walking around, but they're throwing away trash at some point, and those little things just help add that extra detail. So, and yeah, here's some couple shots of it all flat painted. I got a bumper to a car in there, some other metal little pieces in there, and I just painted them all flat. So in the comic book world, when someone says I flatted out something, you have the comic book artist that draws the pages, then it goes to an inker, he inks over the pencils, then you have a colorist, and the colorist will either do flats and the highlights and shadows and stuff, or he'll have someone as an apprentice or something that does flats. Or it can be called blocking out, where you're just putting down a base color, you're not doing any extra detailing to it. As like here, I'm using oils now, so I'm taking my oil and just dabbing it around, and then I'll come back in there with thinner and then thin out that oil, just to add a little more grunge and dirt and shadows and depth and all that stuff inside of it. So, the dumpster with the trash in there is detailed, but now I'm detailing the details. And that's what, for me, I particularly love this part of the hobby. And I think a lot of people just miss this part, to me, this is when you always hear a layout is never finished. When people say, I'm done with my layout, or I'm kind of happy where they are. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anyone for however they want their layout to be, but for me, when I say a layout is never done, it's these little details that, there's trash laying on the ground. And I just visited Philly not too long ago, this past weekend, and there's so much trash in the streets. It's unbelievable how much trash is up there. But for me, this is the detail. This is the extra, go that extra mile to make it look more authentic and more real. And here, and just adding rust, this dumpster has been through hell and high water, so it needs a little rust. It needs some grime and dirt underneath the top ribbing of the dumpster. I probably could have went even further and dented. I think on one of the sides there's a hole, like it rusted out there, and you can see where that salt is creating a bubbling effect. Some of the salt, when it was pulled back off of that paint, created gaps, like the paint was chipping, and literally, what happens with metal that's been painted and that goes through weather and heat and cold and heat and cold, trucks banging into it, it creates all these different textures and different things that I want to tell that story on the layout. I want that dumpster to look like it's been through quite a bit. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that motorcycle in the background, but it's pretty loud. Anyway, and again, I'm just dabbing some oils. I love oils as far as ammunition in my repertoire here. Oils and thinner, they're so forgiving for me. And I think just because I use it a lot, I've learned how to manipulate the oil. And if there's too much oil that I put down, I can put more thinner to get rid of some of that stuff. You know, I can streak it down. And again, I'm sure somebody else can do that same thing with acrylics or with powders or whatever. You know, this is just me going over and explaining, and also talking about detailing your layout. As I'm sitting here thinking, what can I name this this video? I'll come up with something. So there'll be a title with a hopefully cool looking thumbnail. But yeah, I just love this part of the hobby. I love weathering stuff. I love making stuff look like it's real. You know, when you take pictures and photos and videos that, you know, someone is like, hey man, that looks like I'm looking at a real dumpster that's outside of my apartment or whatever. And now I'm taking a makeup sponge, and I've always used sponges to create rust spots and rusting effects. And I would typically use what do you call those? It's like a bigger sponge that you can get at Home Depot or something. The tile or grout sponges, and you just get one of those big ones and it'll last you forever. But you just tear it, and then make sure you tear it so it's not even, you know, that there's some pieces sticking up and pieces that are recessed. But this makeup sponge, actually, if you use it flat like it is, there's texture there too, and that gives you a more fine tip, if you will, of little dots. And that's probably a lot more closer to HO scale as far as the rust itself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, it's just I wanted to show this video of me detailing details. And then here's the dumpster on a layout. You know, I don't know if it'll sit here, but it's sitting next to that piece me and Jason done together, and I think it fits there for now. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. This was just fun. A fun little weekend project, maybe even a day. You know, it didn't take long at all to do this, but it just adds that extra depth to the layout. It brings it alive, right? But that's it. Peace out, y'all. All right, so that was it. That was the dumpster. Detailing the details. I feel like, again, and I don't know if I've made it super concrete, but for me, it's the details. I love details. I don't know what else to say. I really love details. Yes, I do. But I hope you guys learned something. I hope, you know, that inspires someone else to do more details. And yeah, there's not too much else to say. The video was enough. I want to thank my Patreon folks, as always. I hadn't posted anything for this past week. I had a family emergency I had to take care of. But I will be back on my posting for Patreon this coming week. What else? What else, y'all? I think that's all. I think that's it. I thank you for hanging out. And I'll see you next time. Peace.